Now, before you say anything, yes, I'm aware there are a bunch of other things floating around me, but I want to at least get something out there to defend myself because the grooming part of all of this is the most important to me. This may be a part one if I'm able to figure out how to compile everything into a part two to talk about other things around me. But please keep in mind, I don't know how to write scripts. I'm not good at these sort of things, so I'm really trying my best. For the past 2 months, I've been living in agony and paranoia because I decided to cut off my ex friend Voided after finding out she was talking shit about me behind my back. I want to get something out there so at least I can have a breath of air. After that whole event, I got closer to my friend Kai. Me and Kai have only known each other for a year, and we met each other through Voided. At the same time I'm writing this, I'm currently 19 and Kai is 16, but we met when I was turning 18 and Kai was turning 15. I'm being accused of grooming Kai because of how I tended to act around them. Never have I ever groomed Kai or ever wanted to take advantage of them. I'm aware grooming is not incoherently sexual. There were other rumors floating around that people made up to take our friendship more than it was. Kai was my friend, and I never saw them anything past that. Therefore, I didn't want to treat Kai differently than how I acted towards any of my other friends so they didn't feel left out, and that was the problem. Ever since I was young, having stupid humor with suggestive themes in it was the norm for me. It was even normal when Voided Kai and I were all friends. All of us had the same humor that we'd pick up on. People are throwing around that because my humor has suggestive themes in it from time to time must mean that I'm grooming them, even though everyone else around me would have the same humor. Since a majority of my friends were adults at the time, it didn't exactly click that I should have died down my humor or actions around someone who's younger than me. I'm never used to being the older person. Ever since growing up, I've always been the youngest in a group, so I've never had the responsibility of having to watch what I say since I usually get carried away whenever I'm having fun in whatever current friend group that I'm in. I've been scolded and yelled at for this before, but since I was being scolded and yelled at, I couldn't comprehend where I was in the wrong because I just can't take it in if I'm being yelled at. So I was able to find someone to talk to that did tell me the errors of my behavior, and now I'm able to understand I shouldn't have been acting that way around Kai. The whole grooming thing mainly comes from the Just Dance VR video I did with Kai. I understand from an outside eye that, yeah, that could have looked a bit weird considering our ages. At the time, I didn't think anything of it since we were both just having fun. I didn't think that once uploading that video, it was gonna blow up and everyone would start calling me a groomer. As well, within the video, there's a short flashback clip of where it's showing I'm cuddling Kai. That's not true. We were sitting next to each other, and over time, Kai accidentally shuffled more towards me because Kai wasn't locked in place in game. I have the original recording of that moment, and I was already laying down from the start. So, no, I wasn't cuddling Kai. I was laying down, and Kai was just sitting next to me. As well, on the side note of VR, it's also been rumored that me and Kai have had more intimate relations within VR because we've slept together. Without context, that sounds horrible, and is horrible because there is no context to that. The only context about this was assumptions made about it on Tumblr and coming from Voided, who was barely present with us whenever we did play VR. No, me and Kai have never slept with each other in that way. That is disgusting. We've had virtual sleepovers, as we like to call it, with one another. We've both fallen asleep in VR and usually throw our headset off 30 minutes to an hour later because personally I'm not able to actually pass out in VR for long periods of time. And as well, a quick mention, back in August, Kai did mention that they were possibly coming over to come meet me for my and their birthdays, but that never happened, and they didn't come over. They didn't come visit me in Australia. They just didn't come meet me. So that, like, we didn't meet each other. Kai isn't meeting me. I'm not meeting them. So, like, I don't know why people would just automatically assume that when me and Kai were gonna meet each other IRL, we were immediately gonna like do something. Like, no, that's disgusting. Why are you thinking like that? But no, that never happened. I don't have that relation with Kai. And continuing on back to what I was talking about. Voided has tried to claim that I was giving Kai special treatment because I let them in my server early and I was shipping OCs with them. My server is currently 16 plus, and Kai was a month away from turning 16 when I let them in. Ultimately, it was me feeling bad that I can't let Kai in my server yet because, like I said before, I didn't want Kai to feel left out. Previous friends of mine told me not to let Kai or any other friend that was younger at the time in my server. It was my fault I didn't listen, and that's my bad. I was always getting told what to do and what not to do, and I was getting scolded and did have talks for every little thing that I did. So being constantly anxious really got to me, and I just didn't give a fuck anymore. Personally, I do not see this as the biggest issue because it is my server, and Kai was a close friend at the time. I knew I wasn't going to do this again, and I never have done this before. It was just an honest mistake that I personally think people overreacted on. With the shipping OCs, it's all just petty stuff. I've always shipped OCs with friends, I've shipped OCs with Voided before, and I've even shipped them with friends now. Voided seemingly made a big deal over it because the character in question was Raspberry, and I guess she just assumed that how Raspberry and her character acted was going to be the same as Raspberry and Kai's character. Because of this, I had some of my private drawings leaked that were not safe for work, but thank every fiber in my body that they were cropped, but it was still a breach of privacy considering whenever I did draw not safe for work and sent it to Voided, it was always a consensual thing that Voided would ask if it's okay to save it, and I would say yes because I trusted her at the time. Just to not do that again. My character, Raspberry, is a sexual character from time to time, but that's not all what he's about. There are other things about him that aren't him just being a horn dog. Any drawings I've made of Raspberry and Kai's character were all just cute fluff stuff. I wasn't interested in making any sexual stuff related to them, and if anything, it just made me uncomfortable. As well, I'm pretty sure Voided was just mad that Kai's character looked similar to Voided's character because they were both blue and had antenna. Okay. But the OC thing is still being pushed to this day, and now that I'm shipping Razzie with another friend, my friend's character is now being called a Voided clone. Voided, you are not the first and only person I've shipped OCs with. You've gotta move on. If anything, if the ops were to say something, I expected them to get mad that the OC was a feline character because the first ever OC I shipped with him was a feline character that belonged to my ex because apparently I'm still obsessed with them in the big age of 2024. The reason I'm using that as an example is because I just knew once I posted the new concept art about my sonar, everyone on Tumblr were gonna be quick to jump on calling it a Wendigo or some shit. And I was right! My sonar is a go, what do you want? Making up assumptions, like, for no reason. Please leave the mention of me and my ex alone. I'm sure they want nothing to do with me, as I don't want anything to do with them. And I'll quickly address it here too. Stop fucking thinking I'm obsessed with my ex. I never have and never was. Just because you people took screenshots of private drawings I did to cope with me trying to move on doesn't mean I'm obsessed. Just because I did take inspiration from their characters to make new ones to fill in the holes within my story because their OCs have been present in my story for years doesn't mean I'm obsessed. Ex-friends of mine have taken my OCs previously, made their own versions and designs of them before I even did mine. Well, yeah, I shouldn't have done it back. From my perspective, for a week, yeah, it was out of spite because I was still very angry at the time, but after, it was just a way of coping to help me feel better. The characters aren't even alike anymore, as far as I know. I wouldn't know because I don't stalk them. Anything I did back then, and even now, to cope and move on from my 4.5-year relationship would constantly get made fun of, or I'd just get told it was wrong. It was nearly impossible for me to move on from them, so eventually I did crash out. It's been 2.5 years since we last spoke, and it's been hard to move on previously because the name would get mentioned every once in a while. I've always told friends to please not mention them or anyone else related to them because I just don't want to hear it. I just want to move on. But sadly, I would hear their name or people mentioned. But sadly, I would hear their name or people related to them mentioned to me because people would bring them up to me. But nowadays, since I've finally gotten away from anyone related to any ex-friend, it's been a lot easier. I have moved on from them, and I have for a long while, but I don't understand why people act surprised when I vent about them. That was my first relationship, the first person I've ever fallen in love with, so of course it's gonna take me a good while to move on. How I cope is how I cope, and it's nobody's business but mine. Apologies for going off topic, but hell, I've wanted to get that out for a good while so you people can leave me the fuck alone and stop thinking I'm obsessed with my ex. Please, leave me alone. If I'm able to make a part 2, I'll be able to go into further detail, not talking about them, but about some previous actions that I've done publicly. I've already realized that these actions were wrong and I shouldn't have posted a video or made angry post vents about them. Even though I just wanted to voice what I've gone through, I should have just kept it to myself and tried to have a second thought about it. So, apologies to my ex about that whole honest situation. But back on track. Again, apologies for going off topic. My actions towards Kai were not grooming, it was simply just me being immature and not knowing any better. I've never given Kai any special treatment, I've never wanted to take advantage of them, isolate them, or have any sexual remarks with them. I would never ever want to do that to a friend. I'm not friends with any minors, and all of my current friends are adults. And after this whole situation, I really don't want to be interacting with minors anymore. As well, I was only 18 when, all of this happened. The click between being 16 to 17 to an adult never hit me until, last month. I'm still immature from time to time, I know. Solely just being myself, I just want to have fun with others, and I tend to get carried away. There have been moments that were exposed publicly that I'm a bad person that talks shit about everyone. I will not deny that I haven't said bad stuff about people. There were times I've even said stuff about people within my server because everyone else in my previous group would too. It was normal. While I never actually liked making fun of them, I never got a chance to step back and not want to do this anymore or confront said friend of mine or whatever friend of mine to not say bad stuff about the people within my server because they are fans of mine. I know what it's like to be a fan of a popular creator and look up to them. So I apologize for any bad stuff that I could have said about anyone in my server. I don't expect forgiveness or anything like that. I just want it to be known that I'm aware of my previous actions when I was younger and want to improve upon them. I no longer want to be in a space where it's safe to talk shit about people that haven't done anything wrong or talk shit about people within my server. I know what it's like to be made fun of or bullied for something that you like, so I don't want to do that to someone else. There's a chance an ex-friend could be watching this and, well, you talk shit about me, where's my apology? I don't have to apologize to you or anyone if I don't want to. We're not friends for a reason, and 80% of my ex-friends are the ones making videos on me and calling me all this stuff. So why should I apologize to you if all you've done to me is hurt me? Yes, maybe I have hurt you previously, but venting about that anger publicly, then compiling it into something hateful is not a way to cope. I know this is just for attention. You've all made it extremely obvious that it is. Instead of staying on track and supposedly exposing me, you're all just talking about me and your time with me, spreading misinformation, shitting on my art for no reason, and talking about my story. You don't even care about the argument that you originally started talking about anymore. You just want to make me look bad. Like, I thought you didn't like me, but you love screaming my name like there's no tomorrow. You literally made a post crying that your other goons are getting more attention and death threats than you. You say you don't want to get involved, but you can't help but to say my name. I knew you really didn't like me, but you took one thing and ran with it and used it as an excuse to tell the whole world how much you don't like me. You've claimed that my friends stalk you, but you're the one making posts about every little move that I make. I don't know what the fuck you're up to, cause I don't care. He's happy now? He's happy you got your little attention video on you? Melvin Cortels gave you the attention you were craving. Are you satisfied now? After I upload this video, I'm gonna be going back to barely being active online. I'm constantly being stalked and watched upon every little action I make. Anything I do is just gonna get made fun of. My friends are even getting harassed over this shit. If all of this drama was just directed at me, I would have been 1% less stressed knowing that my friends are safe and they're not involved. At this point, the drama has just been turning into, let's bring down everyone Mel is connected to because I'm not friends with Mel anymore. Because that's all I've been hearing over for the past 2 days. I personally don't want to be hearing any of this drama, but when you keep mentioning it and talking about someone constantly, it's hard to ignore. I know it's not easy on my friends, and it's definitely not easy on me either, but I don't want to stress them out more than they already are. But I'm doing my best to ignore it. I'm not sure how to end this video. I might upload every once in a while in main, but I don't know. My paranoia is really bad at the moment, so we'll just have to see what happens. Hopefully maybe I'll be able to address the other stuff floating around. Please don't expect anything from me. Again, I don't make videos like these and I don't know how to. As well, this may sound a bit harsh, but at the end of the day, this is nobody's business other than me, Kai's, and Voided's. This all should have never been brought publicly, and a lot of this stuff is just twisted words in the first place. And the people that got dragged into this in the first place shouldn't even been sticking their nose in it. I want to believe I have the hidden answers people are looking for, but I'm not sure if I'll be able to deliver. So again, I did not groom Kai. I'm aware of my previous actions and actions when I was a lot younger, and I want to improve upon them. Stop thinking nor saying I'm obsessed with my ex. Please leave me and my friends alone, and do not interact with my content, character, or species. Yes, this one is directed at multiple people. Thank you, and good night.